Mr. President of the General Assembly, Mr. Undersecretary General for Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, Rosemarie DiCarlo, Mrs. Undersecretary of State for Civilian Security, Democracy and Human Rights, Mrs. Uzra Zeya, Mr. President and CEO of National Endowment for Democracy, Damon Wilson, Excellencies, Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Governing Council, Member States, distinguished invitees, participating states to the Community of Democracies, Mr. Secretary General, dear friends, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the 10th Ministerial Conference of the Community of Democracies, organized by the Romanian Presidency of the Community in New York in the margins of the 76th General Assembly of the United Nations. Our meeting was due to be organized in 2020 in Bucharest, but in the context of the pandemic, we found opportunity in crisis and convened a virtual anniversary conference marking the 20th anniversary of the Community of Democracies and its founding document, the Warsaw Declaration. We were honored to be joined by the former US Secretary of State, the Honorable Madeleine Albright, one of the founders of the Community of Democracies, as keynote speaker. And we adopted the Bucharest Statement, thus reinforcing 20 years after the Warsaw Principles. Today's event offers a platform to take stock of our accomplishments, learn from drawbacks, and adapt to the new circumstances. Our discussion today on democracy and resilience, with a focus on shared goals, will shape our approach towards effective, pragmatic, and practical means of upholding, defending, and consolidating our community of values and resilient democracies around the world. Allow me to express my appreciation for the attendance of Undersecretary General Rosemarie DiCarlo and of the President of the General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, to our debate, as well as of other distinguished speakers. I am confident that their constructive contributions to our meeting will guide our discussion towards result-oriented ways to strengthen multilateralism, the international rule of law, and the rules-based international order. I'm also confident that they will consider our input to the accomplishment of the UN General Assembly 2021 theme, Building Resilience Through Hope, to recover from COVID-19, rebuild sustainability, respond to the needs of the planet, respect the rights of people, and revitalize the United Nations, a goal to which the Community of Democracy remains committed. Ladies and gentlemen, a week ago we celebrated the International Day of Democracy, a moment that highlighted once more the importance and responsibility of our community. This was indeed, as Mr. President Biden mentioned in his message on the occasion of the International Day of Democracy, an opportunity to, I quote, reaffirm a basic truth that democracy, government of the people, by the people, and for the people, is humanity's most enduring means to advance peace, prosperity, and security, end of quote. We can achieve this goal by working together, united around our aim of consolidating the resilience of our democracies. Being here today in this format is a strong proof that democracies are stronger when they come together. Discussing resilience stands proof of us constantly seeking the adaptation of our ways to a rapidly changing world and to the hybrid threats that we face for upholding our democratic values and principles. Our current meeting is a meaningful action by the Community of Democracies and Romania in support of the efforts of the US administration in shaping the upcoming Summit for Democracies. Ladies and gentlemen, the 10th Ministerial Declaration of the Community of Democracies that we will adopt today is aimed at supporting and encouraging a Summit for Democracy to renew the spirit and shared purpose of the nations of the free world. This document reflects our determination to defend and uphold our community of democratic values, as well as our pragmatic aim to consolidate democratic resilience. Although the world changed significantly since 2000, when our community was created, many of the challenges faced back then are still present. And I will add that even more challenges intensified or emerged: terrorism, cross-border malign influences, hybrid threats, disinformation, cyber attacks, and blatant disregard for human rights used by populist and authoritarian regimes to destabilize democracies. The COVID pandemic, while bringing new challenges, also amplified the previous ones. We have seen in the past few years that under the pressure of such challenges, many democracies, unfortunately, backslided. That reaction and proactive adaptation through building resilience is paramount. This is why the Bucharest Anniversary Statement adopted in June last year focused on the effects of the COVID pandemic for the state institutions, vulnerable people, freedom of expression, particularly the access to information and free press, exercise of other rights and freedoms greatly affected by the restrictive measures. It was thus oriented to concrete measures to defend democracy in facing the effects of the pandemic. The determination to overcome the aforementioned developments was translated in this anniversary document as hope for a greater impetus to democratic processes, determination for the reform of institutions and processes while maintaining an enduring resolution for the fundamental democratic principles. It therefore offered a new impetus to our community in finding opportunities in challenges, learning from the lessons of the crisis, and to strengthen our resilience. 1 year later, we are still facing the challenges of the pandemic. People, societies, governments, and states have learned the lesson that democracy is the only way through and beyond a crisis. It is time to channel our efforts to build up strategies and coordinate different initiatives so that responses and measures result into a guide that will accompany old and new democracies in boosting their resilience. We will discover different ways and means to achieve and protect our values, but we will certainly remain true to democratic principles, the rule of law, and human rights and freedoms as mapped by the Warsaw Declaration and framed by the Bucharest Anniversary Statement. Resilient democracies have specific buffers in crisis context. They can also come together to sanction democratic backsliding while offering support to the people that suffer from abusive regimes. Democratic resilience is thus crucial both at national and societal level, but also at global level, creating the premises to uphold and defend democratic rights and liberties. In order to achieve this, we have to continuously prove that democracies deliver for the people, and that they stand united in promoting effective multilateralism and rules-based international order. Dear colleagues, speaking about adaptation and resilience, as presidency of the Community of Democracies, Romania also had to adapt and find innovative solutions to continue the work of our community, despite the challenges of the pandemic. That is why we have extended our mandate to the Community of Democracies by another year until September 2022. We will continue to uphold our mandate's objectives and cross-cutting themes, including youth inclusion and empowerment, or the role of digital technology in democratic governance. Dear participants, it is a great pleasure for me to also touch upon in this meaningful context an important foreign policy goal for my country. In line with our commitment to multilateralism, to the rules-based international order, and to the comprehensive approach to peace and security, Romania has presented its candidacy for a mandate in the United Nations Human Rights Council, seeking election for the 2023-2025 term. In doing so, we have decided to focus on 4 main priority areas, where we believe our experience and devotion may generate positive transformation and a meaningful impact on the work of the Council, namely protecting and promoting human rights of women and children and girls, countering discrimination, xenophobia, and racism, fostering democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and enabling the freedom of expression. These are convergent with Romania's priorities as Community of Democracy presidency, and our candidature further enhances the opportunity of promoting and defending the objectives of our community of values. Ladies and gentlemen, the civil society and youth dimensions of all these thematic focus points are cross-cutting. Participation and partnership with NGOs and the young generation are key for all the demarches and actions we plan to embark on. We have been actively promoting youth empowerment throughout our mandate at the helm of the community, and we are looking forward to the Community of Democracy's Youth Forum next week, the 2nd annual forum organized under the Romanian presidency. I would like to recall that during our discussions today, civil society representatives will present their views on how to strengthen our democratic resilience. As always, the CoD ministerial is one of the key platforms where projects can be born at the confluence of the positions of the governments and the ideas of the civil society. We continue to encourage partnerships to enable exchanges of good practices and actions to uphold democratic practices and institutions, increase transparency and accountability, including with formats such as the Open Government Partnership. Dear friends, Romania is determined to continue to pursue throughout its presidency the goals and values of the community. Our constant commitment for democracy, rule of law, and human rights remains steady. And so is our pledge for resilience, the resilience of democratic societies, the resilience of democratic civic participation, the resilience of our institutions and their role for the benefit of our citizens. As we stated in 2020, democratic systems of governance hold the most suitable basis to overcome crises and build back sustainably. Therefore, it is essential that democracies learn swiftly how to adapt and consolidate their resilience to resist all these threats and future crises. I believe the community of democracies is well equipped to train individuals into democracy and to promote the action for democracy. Dear friends, dear colleagues, allow me to end my intervention by invoking a very relevant quote of the Honorable Madeleine Albright, which can apply to our debate on democracy and resilience. We must recognize that democracy's unique virtue is its ability, through reason and open debate, to find remedies for its own shortcomings. End of quote. And this is valid both within our democracies and as for the effort to improve the ways we make our community stronger and better responding. I invite you, dear friends, to continue together the work to consolidate our democratic resilience and to uphold our community of values in the face of old and modern world threats. I am looking forward to our constructive discussions today, and I am confident that this meeting will stand proof that democracies can come together and that we can deliver real results for our people. I thank you for your attention. Dear friends, it is now my pleasure to invite the Secretary General of the Community of Democracies, Mr. Thomas Garrett, to share his opening remarks. Dear Thomas, once again, I convey my personal appreciation for your activity serving our community of democracies and for the valuable support you and your team provided the Romanian presidency. Even under the dire circumstances generated by the pandemic, the community continued its work on achieving our shared goals. So I thank you once again. So, Secretary General, the floor is yours.